Okay, guys. We're gonna repeat the pattern and jump back in where we were. Make sure everything looks good here in Zoom. Okay, I guess it does. All right. Okay, so let me share my screen. Okay, hopefully you can see that. All right. I finally got the grades out for the last lab. Just wanted to make one general comment about them. I think it's not too different if you've had me in other classes, but like when I specify an assignment, what I expect, kind of the grading scale in my mind is like that if you, what a 9 out of 10 is if you do a solid job in everything. You know, a 10 is kind of reserved for, you went above and beyond in one or more respects on the balance. And below 9 if the job wasn't, completely solid in some respects, or you're missing some small pieces and so forth. So that's kind of what I'll be looking for. I thought we would start by looking. I put the assignment out just to get you extra motivated to get through yet more physics today. I want to show you what I'm gonna be looking for a week from today. Okay, so here's what I have. It's fairly substantial, and we definitely need a little more time, which I should be able to have plenty of in the first hour to get you fully prepped. But I think you'll be able to do this. Let's see how we do. So I'm going to look for 3 things again for a Unity application from you, demonstrated a week from this Tuesday. And one would be to use ray tracing in some way, shape, or form. So I demonstrated it as shooting, and so it's ray tracing from the center of the screen. If you're more interested in doing mouse picking of objects, for example, that would be perfectly okay as well. Or pretty much any other application you have that makes clear that you're successfully shooting a ray. Okay. Secondly, I'd like to have you apply a force to an object when a button is pressed. I don't think we've actually done that quite yet. We've directly gone and messed with the velocity. It's not much different when you use add force. Or did we actually, we did do add force one time. Well, regardless, add force is not very magical, so we'll get to it today. So that's what I'm talking about here. I want you to use one of the versions of add force. And here for the second bullet, note that it's not an impulse. So if you applied your force over just one frame, there should be no effect. Okay, but if you apply it for a longer term, and that would be by holding your button down longer, then we should be able to see, oh yeah, the longer you hold it down, the more force is active. And then third, I'd like to have a bomb with a trigger region that applies impulses to more than one rigid body nearby. So that's got a few moving parts to it. So let's see how successful we can be with that. So the idea is that you will walk over. So the easy way to trigger it is to just walk over and use your first-person camera to do the triggering. It would be okay if you happen to have some other way and you're seeing, I don't want to constrain you over much. So if let's say you built a box cannon like I do, well, you could also trigger the bomb by maybe shooting your box cannon at it, whatever. But something should enter a trigger region. When that happens, the bomb notionally explodes. Now, we don't have the visual effect for an explosion yet, so I don't expect that. But there should be at least 2 objects nearby, just some cubes or whatever. Get more creative if you want to. And those should jump back from the explosion, basically. And that should be achieved by applying impulses, again, that'll be using add force in the impulse mode. Okay, so unless there are questions, I'm going to jump into the to Unity now. First thing I want to do is actually one thing. So like with the ray traced shooting, I'm almost happy with what we did. Right, so we got this, we got a force apply, we got a marker there. The only thing I'm not happy with is I can't exactly tell where the shot is going to happen. You don't have a crosshair, so let's just go through and put a simple crosshair here on this. It's gonna be nothing to brag about. Let's see if we can do that. So what I want to do is I need to find the object that has the camera. Looks like that is the second tier object. Okay, here's the one with the camera. And I think what I can do, actually, I don't even have to add it on here. I think no matter where I think if we just put a canvas in, it's gonna, by default, get attached to that camera. Well, let's see. Let's see if that's the case. So let's go over, I'm right clicking here, go into UI, go to canvas, okay. To edit it, you wanna go into 2D mode here. So go over here, and then in my canvas, I want to right click and then say, I want to add a UI object, and I want to have it be an image. Okay? Okay. So, right, except we don't have an image here. So I'm going to just kind of cheat a little bit and use one of the images that comes with Unity. Somewhere down in here, I've got a whole lot of images here from my standard assets. Makes things a little more complicated, but here's one. Here's a nice little circle. So let's just take that as my image. Okay, and then I want it centered. I wonder if it's actually going to be centered. It may just kind of be centered by. Yeah, it looks like it's centered by default. Okay, so if I start my app up again. Okay, all right. So there you go. I got something. It's a terrible crosshair. Okay, like to make it slightly less terrible, we could just kind of scale it down a bit. Maybe that's better. Okay, one last time for the money here. All right, so a little less embarrassing. All right, good. All right, so I'm calling that app done. Unless there are questions, we're gonna roll on. Let's roll on to into the next one. Exit play mode to save the scene. All right, let's save the scene. All right, okay, what I'm gonna do is, let's do this next one just from scratch. Let's just create a new scene, and let's see, I think the next thing, probably the bomb is the worst thing I'm asking you to do. So let's build a bomb. It'll be pretty minimal. Maybe you guys can do a better job, but gotta start somewhere. So let's go to scene, create, scenes, create, and scene, here's a new scene, okay. Let's call this IED. Okay, let's make sure we've got it as our current scene. Okay, now we gotta just repeat. I find that some repetition here is kind of called for. Let's just do the standard stuff from scratch. Got my plane. Sure, is not that, is it really there? Oh, I'm in 2D mode. Got to get out of 2D mode. There we go. Okay, that looks a little more sane. Again, the plane needs to be enlarged, so do that. Get rid of the main camera. Add in from my standard assets my first-person motion model because I still want that. Okay, let's go. Where are we? Characters, first-person, prefabs. There we go. Again, I want to make sure that I'm above the ground plane so I don't fall through when I start up. Okay, done with that. Now, the next thing I'm going to need is a collider to use as my trigger. Okay, so there's a bunch of different ways to do it. Maybe this isn't the smoothest or slickest, but Well, actually, let me first put put an object down to be my my notional bomb. So my favorite cube there embedded in the ground halfway. That's perfect for something that's supposed to look halfway dangerous. Okay, that's great. And then let's see, what do I want to do? I think I'm going to add a separate object to actually be the trigger. So we'll call this one bomb. And then I'm going to actually, I'm getting tired of having it be so dark, so I'm going to generate my lighting, sacrifice a few seconds to do that. Okay, all right, and let's see, do I still have my red material? It should be here. It's in my own, here we go, material. Okay, a very stupid IED planter painted as bomb, a nice visible red. Okay, and now we're gonna put I'm gonna need something for my trigger zone. I think that should probably be a sphere, right? Or maybe a cylinder. Either way, I'll go with a sphere. Okay, I'm gonna wanna center it on my bomb. Okay, that looks good. Let's make it the size I want. Okay, so I'm gonna make it so you gotta get fairly close to the IED to actually trigger it, like that. Okay, now what I don't want, no, I can't even see my bomb, right? Because it's hidden by my trigger region. Okay, let's fix that. Okay, we don't actually need the mesh for this thing. I really put that in just because I wanted the collider. Okay, so I can go here and get rid of the, whoa, wrong object. Oh no, undo. Let's make sure I got my sphere. Let's actually call this something else, trigger zone. Okay, and let's turn off the mesh for the trigger zone. There we go. But you can see that, and here the brighter color is not really my friend. Maybe you can see that the outline is still there, right? Because it does still have the collider. And this mesh renderer, you could actually just kick it out. Let's get rid of the component. And the mesh filter, no, I'm not sure if I can get rid of that or not. Well, let me try. What's the worst that happens? I have to do it all over again. Okay. All right. Okay, so I have my sphere collider. I do want it to be a trigger, right? It's not there to oppose my motion or anything else. It's just there to send a signal. Okay. And then I'm going to need a script to pick up the on trigger callback so I know when something actually entered the zone. Let's go here. Script. Okay, trigger script. Okay, once it's in, we can start editing it. All right, so I don't think I need any of these other callbacks. I think it's just void on trigger, right? On trigger, enter. Hello. Oh, there it is. Private void on trigger, enter. I think that'll be fine. I don't think it has to be public. Okay, good. And we will, let's have the explosion happen. Okay, that'll do for our first pass at an explosion. By the time we get done, you'll be able to make a nice looking explosion with audio in the whole 9 yards, but for right now, this will get us started. Okay, maybe. Let me bring up my, I don't know why the shortcut for the bringing up the console has not been working for me lately. So I have to do it this way. All right, let's start up. All right, here we go. Moment of truth. Boom. Okay. All right. Now, the only thing we're missing as far as the requirements I gave is we need to have some other objects that are going to get affected. So let's create some debris objects here. Let's let one be a cylinder. Okay, and let's add a Set a rigid body so we can get affected by forces. Okay, and let's add, I said you had to have 2, right? So I should have at least 2. Let me put in a cube. Okay, again, it's got to have a rigid body. All right. Okay, so now what we want to do is when the explosion happens in that on trigger, we want to have all objects, all my debris objects fly away. Okay. All right. Now to get this, so we're going to need to find them. So this is the other part of the exercise you might not have realized you're going to have to deal with. We're going to need to find them at runtime. How are we going to find them? Okay. So if you go back to the notes that we had, right? So we could do find with tag. This is what was in my original note, and then I added this a little bit later. There's also a find game objects, plural, with tag. So that will return you an array you can iterate through that'll get all objects with a certain tag. So that, I think, is perfect for this. I'm open to suggestions if you got a better organizational idea, but that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to make a new tag. I'm going to call it debris. Okay. And let's go back to my cylinder. And cylinder, you are now, oops, I can't spell. Diverse. Okay, it's diverse. Okay. And the cube is also diverse. Okay. All right, fine. Well, not fine, but you know. Okay, good. So now what we want to have happen is that when we enter the zone here, we're going to actually do a, okay, we want to do a loop where we're going to iterate through all those objects and apply a force to them. Okay. So, oh, by the way, C#, list iteration. What's the recommended way? Let's just see. Iterate through collections in C#. Okay. Okay, so you got a good pattern right here. Yeah, let's steal it. Put it over here. All right. Good. So this is going to be our debris object. It's going to be a game object, not an int. And we're going to get it from game object dot find game objects plural with tag. Okay. And we got to look for the proper tag, which of course is diverse. Excellent spelling of debris. All right, good. So that should be that. And now we want to apply a force to it, actually an impulse. Okay. Now I noticed the other day, it's so great when you're taking a course like this. Sometimes it's just fun to like browse around in the manual of the API because, you know, sometimes you just learn things randomly that turn out to be fun. So I never saw this thing before, that in Unity there is a special call to apply explosive forces. Add explosion force. So this looks very cool. I've never used it before. Let's try it. Okay, so we're going to have to give it a force. We're going to have to give it the explosion position, right? Because that's going to be the blast, the origin of the blast. Presumably you jump back from there. We're going to need to give it a radius. We can give it an upwards modifier. Oh, this is really fun. Okay. All right, this is something I can really geek out on here. All right, so good. So I'm just gonna copy this because otherwise I'm gonna forget by the time I get to my my code. Okay, and we want to boom. Let's see. All right, so that just shows what has to be inside that apply explosion force. Okay, so you first have to have the rigid body. So I'm going to need to do a debris, and I'm going to need to get the rigid body. Oh, apologize. Actually, let me put this down in a comment. Okay, so get component. Boom. Want the rigid body. Okay, and now we add explosion force. First thing that comes up here, all right? And now my cheater notes below tell me what we have to do. Okay, so actually, what is the, okay, it's just a float, so it's how much force. So let's start out mild. 1. Let's give it the explosion position. Okay, so the explosion position, we're gonna need the bomb object to actually get the explosion position. So let's just do the public game object method of grabbing the bomb. Okay, so we'll go through and now we can do the position will be bomb.transform.position, right? Okay, and then the explosion radius doesn't matter. It should be big. I'll make it ridiculously large. Blast everything in the world. Of course, we're not going to be blasted. You do realize, right? This is where if you try the other first-person controller, the one that has a rigid body, there probably you would be blasted back. But right now, I'm happy to not be blasted back. Thanks very much. Okay, the upward modifier, the default is 0, I think. So let's leave it at 0 just to begin with. Okay, and then we do need a force mode because we were going to want not a force, but an actual impulse so that things happen instantaneously. Otherwise, you're going to have it happen over multiple frames, and it's just not going to work well for an explosion, I don't think. Get rid of that. All right, let's see. Okay, I don't think we need the console anymore. I took out the boom. Hopefully we'll get visual feedback that things are working. Well, I didn't see anything.
So you have a typo in your script.
I have a typo. Uh-oh.
Yeah, line number 12, the string at the end.
Line number 12. You mean 11 here?
Yeah, it's 11, sorry.
Yeah, no, I think that's actually what I called it. I have to be consistent. So I don't think that's it. If you look at I'll show you what I'm talking about. Like the cylinder here, look what the actual, oh, you're right, it's capitalized. Ah, you're quite right, sir.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you very much. So let me fix it. Again, as long as you're consistent, no problem, but not only misspelled it, but couldn't be consistent either. Okay, so you guys do better. All right, let's try again. I'm looking for a little hop when I get close. And could be that the impulse is just too small. Let's try more of an impulse. And I think I did see a error fly by there too, so we better look into that as well. My console back again. Really missed the shortcut. Oh yeah, I know, didn't assign the bomb, so that's what's happening. Okay, all right, so let's go to our script. It's in our trigger zone, right? We need the bomb to be dragged in here. Let's do that. Okay, that should help. Oh, no. How could it be?
Are you starting in your trigger zone?
I didn't think so.
No, guess not.
Let me move myself back a little from the, we'll start back here.
I think it's because you have another object in the trigger zone.
That's what it is, maybe. Yeah, that's right. That's horrible. Okay, so we're gonna have to have an exception, right? So, good. So we don't want the bomb itself to trigger it. Okay, so how can we do that?
Do a conditional check for the FPS controller. Do an if statement that if that's
right. That's one way to go. So that's the way that says, hey, I don't want anything to set off the bomb except the person. Okay, but then if I had my box cannon and I shot a box, I'd be out of luck. It wouldn't set off the bomb.
Or everything that's not the objects, the cube, and so on.
That's the way I want to go. Well, let's just check if it's the cube. Now, how are we going to check if it's the cube? Right?
Can we check that? Can we assign tags to them?
We could assign tags. Yes. That's too much work for me. So no, but you can certainly do that. Okay. Other suggestions? Okay, we can just check at the game object level. We can do equality checking at the game object level, or we could check its name. Those are both fine. Probably the game object level is a little more, seems a little more techie to me. So let's see if we can do that. So I'd have to go here. I'd have to get the collider, which is called other, right? I'd have to get its game object, and then I'd have to see if it's equal to the bomb. And if it is, goodbye, we won't bother with the rest of it. Okay, now the other way would be to go other.gameObject.name and check if the name is bomb. That seems a little more ugly to me. Okay, let's see if this works now. Oh no! What is the problem? Let's see. I think we're going to need to do some actual debugging here, guys. So we're getting down past the check. What collider is actually causing the problem? Let's log it.
Don't we want to put that action statement for each game object debris inside the an if or a for loop or an if statement?
I don't
If
think
that's the case,
so.
then put it in so that way it never gets ran unless that condition's valid.
Well, see, the whole thing is we're already inside something that's highly conditional, right? We're inside of an on-trigger enter, which is only supposed to happen under very special circumstances. And then the thing where we had an issue, right, was, okay, but it could be the bomb, all right? But I thought I'd check for that. So now let's do this. Let's log the object. And I don't know, you can log multiple things. I want to make sure the name actually shows up over here. So I'm going to try doing that. Is it going to let me do that? Maybe it's not. Maybe things have to be converted to strings. Anyway, let's see if that works better. Okay, let's see if I can get some intel out of that. That will help me figure out. So this is the actual object. This is the object's name. Okay, so something should tell me the tail. Let's go back over here. Turn off the game. Need my console back. So let's try again. Let's try again. Right. Cube. Okay, so it looks like it's still the bomb. So maybe my equality check is not cutting it. And where's the name? Actually, let's just do the check. Let's just print the name this time. I'm not sure why this is not. I can't get away with that, but it isn't JavaScript. After JavaScript would be very happy with it, but C# is a little more picky. So let's try again. No, it's just cube. It's the object itself. Okay, it's the actual debris. Okay, I think maybe some of you already realize that. I was thinking only about the bomb. Okay, so maybe we should go the other way and make sure it's just the person. You know, I don't know. Or what should we do? I'm a little surprised that it gets triggered so early. Yeah, okay, I'm going to go that way just because I don't want to spend too much time. But, you know, so, you know, it's weird that the thing gets triggered at frame 1. You know, maybe what I maybe would really like to do is have some kind of, you know, don't arm the bomb until a couple frames in, something like that. But that's getting a little too complicated here. Let's just check for the FPS controller. So let's see. So let's do it the opposite way around. So we'll only run this code when we have the object coming in, has a name we like. Now, what that name needs to be, I'm not actually sure what we're going to see here. I'm guessing it'll be FPS controller or first person character, one or the other. So let's try FPS controller. Okay, so only if it's for FPS controller will we do the explosion routine. Okay, all right.
Could you do if not bomb and not debris?
You certainly could do that. You could certainly do that. But it just starts to feel like it's a losing battle, right? I'm just trying to come up with a solution that would actually scale to a complicated circumstance. You won't just have bombs and debris, right? I mean, you'll have other stuff that's around that isn't just debris, right? Maybe the wall of a building will trigger it. You know, it's never ending. So, yeah. So that's why I backed off from that. Okay, stuff just got shoved off the map. Did you see that? My frame rate is dog terrible here. Let me turn this thing off. Right, let's try one more time. Okay, everything's cool. Move in, move in, move in. Seriously, I have to get that close. Wow. All right. Well, whatever. Okay. And then I just wanted to experiment. I can't bear to leave before I experiment with the upward force. Let's make the upward force not 0, but let's see. Let's reduce the force magnitude in total, but also add a substantial upward force. Okay, I want to be able to see things jump up a little bit. All right, pretty cool. All right, questions on this one, because I'm done. Okay, done deal. All right, so one final thing I'd like to do is to do something with add force. I think I have time to do that. I maybe have a little better luck than I just did, and if not, well, at least we'll get add force working, I promise, with a real force, not an impulse. Okay, so let's build a new scene. Scene, okay. This will be, I'll call this one lander. I want to do a little lunar lander kind of deal. Okay. Let's go to the new scene. Yeah, save all my changes. Thank you. All right, well, we got to be kind of quick here. Let's go in. Let's add a ground plane. Scale it up. I'm gonna use my fixed camera, I think, this time. I'm gonna stay with the main camera. I don't know if you ever played a lunar lander game, but the camera's normally fixed. Okay, so let's kind of see the view we get from the camera. All right, I definitely need the lighting to be generated again. Let's see my plane. The plane. That's weird. Okay, it got put in a weird place. All right, I'm just going to reset it. So the way you reset a transform is not actually at the transform. Here it is, reset. All right. All right. So now my camera is kind of looking at the plane. I think that plane maybe needs to be bigger. Okay. All right. Now we're going to put in. Let's build our lunar lander. Of course, it's a cube because everything's a cube when I'm doing the art. Okay. We're going to scale it in Y and in X. So let's make it much bigger in X in particular. Okay, and then a little bigger in Y, right, like that. Or actually, yeah, all right, fine. There we go. There's our lander. That's kind of big. Okay, how about 6 and 3? All right, there's our lander. And now what I'm going to want to do is, let's see. It's going to need to be I need a physicsy object here, so let's add in a rigid body. Okay, so for lunar landers, I don't want this to be a 3D lunar lander. I've built those before, and I don't have the reflexes to actually fly them when I'm done. So I'm going to make it 2 dimensions. So the whole game is going to basically be played in a plane. Actually, I'm going to take it. I'm going to move it. So I'm going to move it back toward the back here, and I'm going to constrain the object so it doesn't move around at like a normal 3D object. Okay, so I'm going to want its center to be constrained in Z, right? I don't want it moving front and back. It can move from side to side. That's fine. Constraints. Freeze position Z. Okay, and then rotation-wise, I only want rotation around Z. Otherwise, it's going to rotate out of its plane. Okay, so what I want is that thing's going to basically just kind of slide around like a 2D object in the plane that it starts in. Okay. All right. And then I'm going to need a couple burners to actually show when I'm the idea. So with lunar lander games, if you've never played one, the idea is the buttons are bound to your little thrusters, and you try to bring the lunar lander down in good control, or sometimes you try to land it in a certain marked landing spot. You know, it depends. Something like that. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to add in, so this is going to be my lander. Okay, let's add in a couple other cubes. You know it had to be cubes, right? These are going to be my little thrusters. I'll show you how I'm going to do that in a minute. Let's see, how do I do it? What I want is, let me see. Let me go and color them red. It's basically when these things are, I'm going to make them, when they're visible, that will be like the thruster is firing. That's the way it's going to look. I know it's super cheesy, but it's effective enough for a quick demo. All right, so there we go. Okay, I want to, what happens if I, let's call it left thruster. Left thruster. All right. Let's parent it to the lander. What if I just reset its coordinates? So I wonder if it'll just lock to the lander. Let's see if that works. Transform, reset. Nope, it does a world reset. If there's anything better. No, okay, let's do this. Here's how I'm going to get it locked. I'm going to take my lander and temporarily reset it as well. So, all right, so lander. Oh no, I lost my, okay, that's not what I wanted. Undo, undo. Okay, let's just reset it manually to be in the same plane as the thruster. Okay, now the thruster, I'm going to need two of them, so let me just Control D to make a copy. And we'll rename this one the right thruster. All right, so let's pull that one to the right, left. Okay, so like something like that, except I want it to actually, well, let's see. So our object is 6 wide. So if I locate it in X minus, yeah, okay, we'll have it be, this will be minus 1.5. And then the other one, I'm doing it by typing. So I'm, because my eye isn't good enough to do it properly otherwise. This one will be positive 1.5. So it's symmetrical. Okay, so those are my two thrusters. And then the, let's see where we need to have them in Z. So Z would be, Y rather. Okay, so let's just move it up by 1. That's good. Okay, I'm happy with that. Let's go to the other one, move it up 1 and Y. Okay, so now we've got our lander put together. That's going to be fine. Yeah, I got super lag when I'm using Zoom. Oops, okay, whoops. Okay, undo. I got to parent them first because I want the thrusters to actually stick to the lander. Wouldn't that be great? I'm actually going to grab the lander. No, that's what I want. Okay, now let's see. If we look at the game view, okay, I want to start the thing kind of as high as I can, while having it still visible to the camera. Start at 10. We can even start a little higher, maybe 12. Right, maybe something like that. Okay. Boom, boom. Okay, good. All right, so now we're going to need a script. So what the script is going to actually be looking for our button presses and do the physics and show the thrusters at the right moment, all of that. And hopefully 10 minutes left. Well, we'll see. Maybe I'll at least be able to finish a sloppy version where you can at least see the add force working. Maybe it won't be 100%. We'll see. Okay, so let's go here. Let's add a component. Okay, we'll call it lander script. Lander script. Add it in. Okay, let's edit it. All right. Okay, so what I want is I'm going to need my thrusters. So let's do this. Public game object left and right. We can just do that. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for, let's use the A and D keys to be the indication the thruster should fire. Okay. So we'll go down here and we'll do if there's an input get key, get key, not key down, because that'll just be one time per press. We want to be able to hold the button down and have the thing keep firing. Okay, so I'm going to look for the A key, and this will be the left thruster. And then I'm going to have the same thing for the D key, which will be the right thruster. Okay, so the first thing we'll do is let's start actually by making the both of the objects invisible. This is how you do that. You set them, go to set active, and make it false. And then only when they fire, I will make those true. So you'll actually be able to see the thrusters. So it should work just fine. Okay, that. All right, then down here, we'll do the opposite. So this means we fire the left one. So the left one gets set on, made visible. And here's the right one. The right one is made visible. And now we need to add some forces. Okay, so here's the tricky part. Okay, so we want to get this object's rigid body. Okay, so we want game object, get component, rigid body, add force. Okay, all right, and we want an upward force. Okay, now, okay, so what we want, so we need a force vector, right? What should that be, right? Let's just call it force here. Let's define it up above. Okay, so it would be vector 3, force equals, okay, what should we do? So you might be tempted to go and say, oh, well, it should just be the up for the lander, right? Because when it fires, you go up for the lander. So that's something we could start with. You can say game object, transform up, right? And then you scale it in some ways. So maybe you want it to be twice the vector. I have no idea what's a reasonable reasonable scale. Okay, so let's do that. Let's do the same thing down here. But of course, that's not going to actually do it because that's going to be, I think that's going to be in local coordinates. So we're going to need to transform it into world coordinates, I think. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about this, okay? So we're going to want to keep its actually just the direction is plenty, right? Because the up vector is just a direction vector, a unit length vector. Okay, so we want to go local to world. So I think we're going to have to do transform direction on that. So I don't have much time, so that would be my initial guess. So let's see if that works. And transform direction has to actually be attached to a transform, maybe. Okay, it's attached to the transform class, more or less. so, hey. The way you actually use a transform. All right.
You got a typo, sir. You're missing the S in transform.
Okay. Oh, okay. But it still wants a specific transform. Well, that's fine. We know which one to use. It should be the one for the game object itself. Wait, hang on. I said game object here. We want it to be the left. We want it to be the thruster that we're actually using, right? So that should be left. Okay, so here we went left is the game object, left dot transform is the left object's transform. Right. All right, so let's see. This one will be the same, except it's going to be right. Right, I think that'll do it. At least it should apply some visible forces, hopefully. Let's see what we've got. And let's play. Hey, that's not good. I never did my object connection routine here. I've got a couple slots that never got filled in, so left needs to be, come on, left needs to be the left thruster, right needs to be the right thruster. Let's try again. Wow, the frame rate is just so rotten. Okay, I think the force magnitudes are just not enough. So let's fix it. Let's go to 5. Okay, well, you could see, oh, actually what was happening is, wait, hang on, did those objects, they didn't have rigid bodies, did they? They do have colliders, and we need to get rid of their colliders. I think it was sitting on my thrusters. Let's get rid of their colliders. Remove component from the left thruster. Remove component from the right thruster. All right, now what I want to do is, the gravity is just killing me here. It's just way too much gravity. So let's go to edit. Where are the player preferences? Just preferences here, maybe? No.
Project settings.
Yeah, here it is. Project settings. All right, and then let's just go and let's just take, gravity is about -10 here. Let's make it like 1/10 normal Earth gravity. Okay. Actually, I might have to do it again because I did it while the thing was running. Yep, sure enough. Okay, do it again. I mean it this time. All right. So now let's see. We should come down a lot more slowly. All right. If I fire one of these thrusters, yeah, it's still not doing much. There we go. I think I may not be able to give a nice demo of this thing just because my frame rate is just so terrible with Zoom active. Let's try again though. Fire both together. All right, let's see. Okay, what I'm not happy with is, yeah, okay, so this isn't doing it. Why? Okay, so just apply force is actually not going to be good enough for this, because you notice the thing should be spinning, right? If one thruster was going, but I need to do a apply force at position. There's a special call for that. So add force at position. Maybe I'm not. Is the actual name. Unity, add force at position. Oh, at point maybe. No, add force at position. So it just wasn't happy because I didn't add force at position because I didn't add the position in. The position should just be the position of the thruster, right? So if you just take the position from the transform, that is going to be the position in world space, which is actually what you need. So sorry about this. This has ended up being quite a bit faster than I would have liked to go, but that is the nature of our schedule. Wait, this is left.transform.position. Okay, so that should hopefully be better. So now what I hope to see is that when we just fire one of the thrusters, that would provide an unbalanced thrust that should make the thing spin. Let's see. It's still not right. So the transform is not, it should be knocking itself completely over. So the direction still isn't right. So there's still some work I would have to do on this to get the transform right. Why? How is it standing on its corner? That is a little bit odd. Yeah. All
So
right.
you want it to be able to spin? Because it's spinning on mine with
Yeah.
that add force. Or are we just not adding enough force to overcome
Yeah,
it?
no, it's no, the direction is wrong. Yeah, I can tell you. So here, so it was spinning, right? You see it? But I'm holding it down. Do you see it's not spinning anymore?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
It should be spinning more and more and more, right? It should just spin faster and faster. So yeah, so that's like, okay, so promised a crummy demo, game a crummy demo, but at least you see add force with an actual force getting applied, and you got, as a bonus, add force at position, which might also be handy for some things you guys might want to do. And then I'll think about what I did wrong with the transform. I probably have to experiment with that a little bit to make it work properly. Okay, but aside from transform direction questions, other questions? Now, you don't, strictly speaking, have to build a lander, but I will try to fix it and fill you in on what I did wrong, probably tomorrow though. Okay. All right. So let's call it a day on the lecture then. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go offline and come back in just to trigger the build of my video, and then we'll do some. Well, actually, we've been going for an hour, so let's start at the top of the hour, top of the new hour, and have your stuff ready for me to look at for grading. Okay. All right. So I'll be back on at the top of the hour.
So do you want us in game mode for that, or do you want us to just go around the scene so that way you can see the different aspects of it? Since
Well,
stuff
whatever works best. I might if I can't see your objects well, I'll tell you so I can give you a good view of them.